In the grand theater of human relations, where each individual is the monarch of their own destiny, there is no more fatal error for a prince than the inability to accept the loss of territory. Niccolò Machiavelli, in his infinite wisdom on the nature of power, taught us that fortune is fickle, like a river that floods plains and uproots trees. But the man of virtue, the true strategist, is the one who builds dikes and dams before the storm arrives. However, what we observe in the mind of someone who obsessively watches over the shadows of a past love is not virtue, but the purest manifestation of political and spiritual weakness. You, who silently observe through digital windows, have become a spy in a kingdom from which you were exiled, seeking crumbs of information in a land that no longer owes you tribute or loyalty. The psychology of someone who pursues the digital trail of a former ally, now transformed into a stranger or enemy, reflects the anguish of a deposed ruler who refuses to abandon a burning palace. Machiavelli warned us, men forget the death of their father more quickly than the loss of their patrimony. And what is a relationship from the cold perspective of power, if not an emotional patrimony, a conquered territory where you wielded influence, where your will was law, and where security seemed guaranteed? When this pact is dissolved, the ego, that fragile tyrant that dwells within us, feels not only sad, but usurped. The act of stalking, of watching, is not love. It is a desperate and political attempt to maintain a phantom jurisdiction over a state that has already declared independence. When you open that social network, when you analyze each new alliance your former partner forms, each smile captured in a still image, you are, in fact, conducting a failed military intelligence campaign. You are looking for signs. Machiavelli would say that a wise prince should always be informed about the conspiracies around him. But what use is information if you no longer have an army to act? You observe the happiness of others, like a general observes the walls of an impregnable city. Each like that another person leaves on your ex-lover's photo is interpreted as a movement of enemy troops on your borders. The anxiety that sprouts in your chest is not longing. It is the fear of irrelevance. It is the profound terror of realizing that the world continues to turn and that the principality prospers, even without your crown. Digital surveillance is the opium of the exile. It offers the illusion of presence. You believe that by knowing where they are, who they are with, and what they drink, you still participate in the governance of that life. A grave mistake. Machiavelli teaches us that whoever is the cause of another's power ruins himself by dedicating your hours, your vital energy, and your mental strategy to monitoring the growth of another. You are draining the resources of your own state. You leave your own defenses low, your fields uncultivated, your own court empty, while your eyes are fixed on a horizon that no longer belongs to you. It is a strategic drain. You become a vassal of memory, paying tributes of pain to a suzerain who doesn't even know you exist in the shadows. Why do we do this? Why does a human being, endowed with reason, submit to this voluntary torture? The answer lies in our inability to cope with it. Power vacuum. When a relationship ends, a vacuum is created. And nature, like politics, abhors a vacuum. To avoid facing the silence of your own inner palace, you prefer the noise of other people's lives. It's a preference for known pain over the uncertainty of freedom. Machiavelli stated that men are less hesitant to offend someone who makes themselves loved than someone who makes themselves feared. In the end, by stalking, you are neither loved nor feared. You are invisible. And in the politics of existence, invisibility is death. Analyze this coldly. What are you looking for? Proof that they are unhappy without you? Validation that your reign was irreplaceable? Machiavelli would say that this is vanity, and vanity is the advisor that leads empires to ruin. If you find their happiness, you suffer from your replacement. If you find their sadness, you suffer from empathy, or delude yourself with a false hope of return. In both scenarios, the strategy is flawed. There is no possible victory in spying on the past. It's a rigged game where the house, time, always wins. You are fighting a trench war against ghosts, wasting ammunition against fog. The digital age has amplified this Shakespearean tragedy. In the past, exile was physical and absolute. Today, borders are permeable. Social networks are like public squares where rulers parade their conquests, and you, hidden in the crowd, covered by the hood of anonymity, watch the victory parade of those who defeated you. But remember the Florentines' words. Everyone sees what you appear to be. You perceive what you are. What you see on the screen, the smiles, the trips, the toasts, are appearances, the masks that all princes wear to maintain their reputation. You are comparing your chaotic backstage, your raw and real pain, with the illuminated and rehearsed stage of the other. It is an asymmetry of information that only serves to demoralize your own spirit. The desire for control is the root of this evil. The stalker is a dictator who has lost his army but refuses to let go of the map. He plots routes, imagines scenarios, creates mental dialogues where he still has the last word. But the real power, the true power, Imperium, the past only exists in the present. The past is a territory conquered by death and oblivion. Trying to govern it is madness. Machiavelli warned that a new prince, upon conquering a state, must extinguish the lineage of the old prince to guarantee stability. Similarly, in order for you to govern yourself again, in order for you to found your new principality, the lineage of obsessive memory must be extinguished. You cannot build a new Rome upon the ruins of Carthage if you spend the whole day weeping over the burnt stones. Obsession with another person's life reveals a lack of local authority, the ability to govern oneself. You have outsourced your emotional stability. You have become a satellite state, orbiting a planet that has already left your solar system. This is unworthy of a strategist in life. Where is yours virtue? Where is your ability to bend fortune to your advantage? By watching, you place yourself in the passive position of a spectator. The spectator has no power. He only reacts. He cries in tragedy and laughs in comedy, but does not write a single line of the play. Machiavelli would despise this passivity. For him, action is the only nobility, and the only logical action in the face of territorial loss is the strengthening of the remaining borders and preparation for new conquests. We now move to the core of the liberation strategy. If the first stage was the recognition of our condition as pathetic exiles peering through the gates, this second phase is the manifesto of reconquest, not the reconquest of the other, or that would be a tactical error of trying to reoccupy a poisoned land, but the reconquest of oneself. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that war is just when it is necessary, and arms are sacred when there is no hope but in them. Your war now is internal. It is a civil war against the part of your mind that insists on submission. A coup d'etat against your own emotions is necessary. Modern neuroscience, which is nothing more than the biology of power applied to the brain, confirms what political philosophy already knew. Rejection activates the same areas as physical pain. Your brain, addicted to the dopamine of the other person's presence, goes into withdrawal. Stalking is the desperate search for a dose. Even if that dose comes mixed with the poison of jealousy and rejection, you seek immediate relief from uncertainty, but you pay with the currency of your self-esteem. Machiavelli would tell us that a ruler who sacrifices the future of the state for momentary pleasure is unworthy of the throne. You are selling your future sovereignty for a glimpse of someone else's present. Consider the economy of attention. In the modern world, attention is the most valuable resource, more precious than gold or artillery. When you direct your attention to your ex-partner, you are paying tribute. You are enriching the other person's ego with your psychic energy. Even if they don't know you're looking, energetically, you've placed yourself in an inferior position. The true demonstration of power is not revenge. It's not confrontation, and it certainly isn't surveillance. The ultimate demonstration of power is indifference, silence, a vacuum. Machiavelli knew that contempt is the sharpest weapon against vanity. By withdrawing your attention, you impose an economic sanction on the other person's ego. You cut off the roots of emotional commerce. Imagine yourself as a besieged fortress. As long as you keep the gates open, sending spies out, you are vulnerable. The no-contact strategy isn't just a self-help tip. It's a military maneuver to close borders. It's the act of raising the drawbridge and filling the moat with crocodiles. Inside the walls, you must rebuild. A wise prince must nourish himself with his own strength, said the Florentine. This means turning inward. The time you spend analyzing your ex's new company is time you steal from your own rebuilding. Every minute of stalking is a brick that is not laid in your new tower. There is also the danger of retrospective idealization. Machiavelli warned us about the dangers of seeing the world as we would like it to be, and not as it is. He who neglects what should be done for what ought to be done learns his own ruin rather than his own preservation. When you look back, your mind edits history. You remember the glory of the empire, but forget the famine, the revolts, the tyranny, and the boredom that led to its downfall. The stalker is a revisionist historian who lies to himself. You need the coldness of a political analyst to remember the facts. The relationship ended for a reason. There were structural flaws in the alliance. Trying to relive that through the screen is trying to govern a corpse. Healing from the perspective of power demands cruelty. Cruelty to oneself in the Machiavellian sense of cruelty well employed. It is necessary to cut the evil at its root all at once so as not to have to renew the pain every day. Block, silence, erase. These are the summary executions necessary for the pacification of the mind. It may seem brutal to eliminate digital traces like burning the archives of a library, but it is necessary for the new order to be established. As long as there is hope of return, there will be weakness in self-governance. Hope is a good breakfast, but a terrible dinner, and you have been feeding on cold leftovers for too long. Think of your dignity as the crown of your kingdom. Every time you lower yourself to the position of voyeur of other people's lives, the crown slips a little further. The prince must maintain the majesty. What majesty is there in crawling through digital sewers in search of information? Stand up. The strategist's posture is to look to the horizon, to the new lands to be conquered, to the new allies to be made. The world is vast, and your former territory was just a small province in a continent of possibilities. Fixation on the past is geopolitical myopia. And what to do with the pain? Use it. Machiavelli knew that fear and necessity are the great engines of human innovation. Necessity is the mother of invention. Use the need to fill the void to build something grand. Channel that obsessive energy, which is currently wasted on surveillance, towards conquering new domains, intellectual, physical, financial. Become such a formidable prince, so magnetic and powerful in your own orbit that the idea of looking back seems laughable. The best revenge, if we should use that low term, is resounding success and absolute indifference. It's when your ex, in a moment of weakness, looks back at you and sees only the blinding brilliance of someone who has ascended to a level he can no longer reach. The strategic conclusion is clear. Stalking is a violation of the fundamental law of power, the conservation of one's own energy. You are financing a losing war. Declare peace with yourself. Sign the Treaty of Surrender of Obsession and begin the national reconstruction project of yourself. The past is a foreign country where the currency no longer has value. The future is your rightful empire. Reclaim the throne. Place the crown of autonomy upon your head and close the windows overlooking the graveyard of old love. Look ahead, for it is there, and only there, that fortune. It awaits the bold to bestow glory upon them. Let this analysis serve as the final decree. Do not bow before the shadow of those who have already departed. Be the monarch of your solitude until it transforms into the court of your fulfillment. If these words, forged in the steel of reality and tempered in the wisdom of centuries, resonated in the corridors of your soul and awakened the sleeping strategist within you, leave your like as a seal of alliance. Comment on which territory you will reconquer today and subscribe to receive more navigation maps in this complex world. The power is yours. Do not surrender it to ghosts.